Hi, I'm Terry. Welcome to Terry's Scroll Shop. I'm really excited today because today in Terry's Scroll Shop we're actually going to cut a project. We've done a lot of talking, now we're going to give you some action. We're going to cut out a very simple project today, and this is what it is. It's a little maple leaf tree ornament, if you will. And when we cut this, I want you to pay a close attention to a couple of areas. Number one, the area where we start. We're going to start in a corner. The area where we come to a deep V cut. I want you to pay particular close attention to that, and the sharp point at the end here. Those are the basic scroll saw moves that you're going to find in just about every project that you cut. And so we're going to show you how to cut those, and want you to pay particular attention when we get to those areas. Also going to show you how to take your pattern for your project. This is our pattern, and we're going to apply it to a piece of wood, which is right here. This is our piece of wood. Okay? Now, there are various methods to apply this pattern to a piece of wood. One is using temporary spray bond adhesive, and that's a repositional adhesive. The nice thing about it is you can put it on your wood, and then if you don't like where you got it, you can pick it up and you can move it around, and it'll still tack up. There's a couple of reasons that I don't use temporary bond spray, but you're welcome to try it if you like. What bothers me about it is that if I use too much, if I get too much on the back of this pattern, as you see right here, it tends to leave a sticky residue on my board, on my finished piece, and you have to use mineral spirits to wipe that off, and sometimes it's hard to peel the pattern off and that kind of thing. Another problem is if you use too little temporary spray bond adhesive, as you're cutting, your pattern will tend to flop up on you. It'll tend to let loose and come up, and you lose track of your line, and it's just it's not a good situation. So I don't use temporary spray bond. What I use is pretty much this stuff. Now this is permanent spray bond. This is stuff they use to put headliners and airplanes and things like that, and so you know it's a good strong glue. But you don't want to just put it on your bare wood, because if you do, you never get it off, and then you'll be angry and you'll say words that you don't use in polite company and that kind of thing. So what I do is put some blue painter's tape on my board. I cover it with this blue painter's tape. Then I put the temporary spray bond adhesive on my pattern, put the pattern on the wood, and we're ready to go. So let's take this pattern here to my gluing station, or my adhesing station, whatever you want to call it. This is a little box I made to keep this neat because this stuff goes everywhere. As you can see, this is quite a mess, and it is because it's been used a lot. So I'm going to put this in the center. You don't want this glue all over your table or anything. I put a little piece of fencing in here to act as a grid, and I'm going to shake up my spray bond glue here now, and we're going to spray the back of our pattern. All right, here we go. Notice we're just putting the light coating on here, and we'll give it a little bit of time to set. Put the cap back on our can here. And this is the part where you want to be careful. You don't want to get any of this sticky stuff on your fingers. You will anyway, and I'll show you a solution for that in just a moment. We'll come back over to our piece of wood now, and we're going to put this on our piece of wood. And we'll want to make sure we get it in the place where there's tape on everything. Okay, and we'll smooth it down, and that is stuck. Good. Now when we finish cutting it out, all we got to do is peel the tape off, and the pattern will come right with it. Now there's one more step that I'm going to do here that you really should get in the habit of doing, because it always works, and that is something that keeps your blade from burning your work. You want to take some packing tape, okay? And you probably don't need it on this step, on this project, because this is just Baltic birch. Is probably not going to burn anyway. But if you're using hardwood like oak or cherry or maple or even walnut, if you don't put packing tape over your pattern, your blade will heat up to the point where it'll put burn marks on the inside of your work, and you don't want those burn marks on there. They look really bad, and it's just not a good look for your project. So I take and cover this whole piece with packing tape. All right, see, we've got the pattern all covered now. And now we're ready to take this over to the drill press and drill the holes in these inside areas that we're going to need to cut out the inside shape of the maple leaf. So let's take that over to the drill press and drill those holes now. So I'm here at the drill press now, and we're ready to drill our entry holes in our project so that we can go to the saw and cut it out. Now we're going to put this on our drill press table and turn on the drill press. It makes a lot of noise. Now, people often ask, does it matter where you drill these holes? Well, it kind of does to me, because I want to drill it where I'm going to start the cut naturally, and I want to drill it close to a corner or a point. So in this one, I'm going to drill it right there. I also want to drill, or I want to saw counterclockwise, so I want to go this way around. The reason for counterclockwise is I want the blade to have the right side of the blade into the waist area, because blades tend to drift a little bit to the right due to the way they're made. And if it's going to drift, you want it drifting into the waist area, not into your project area. People also wonder why you use a drill press on this part of the project instead of just a hand drill. Well, the reason is you want these holes to be perfectly straight, because if you're cutting a pattern that has some intricate fretwork in it, you might drill right into your other hole if you don't have it perfectly straight. And another reason is because this is a 16th inch scroll saw bit, and if you happen to even move your hand a little bit when you're hand drilling it, that blade will, or that bit will snap like a twig. Okay, there it is. We have our holes all drilled, and now we're ready to take this to the saw and make some cuts. Well, now we're ready to cut our project out. We've got our holes drilled here, and we are back at the scroll saw, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our piece and lay it on the table and take a look at which one we want to cut first. I want to cut this section first. So I'm going to take my scroll saw blade, and I'm going to move it out slightly here. I'm going to lift the arm of my saw so that I've got room to do this. I'm going to feed that, I'm going to turn this over and look for that hole and feed that blade through that hole. Now we'll bring the top arm down, and we'll set our blade in and tighten it, and we'll start our cut. Alright, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut into this corner here. Now that we've cut into the corner, we're going to back the blade out, we're going to turn it, and we're going to back into that cut. Now we're ready to cut forward. And we'll just cut along the lines here, taking our time. Scroll sawing is not a race. There's no points for speed in scroll sawing. Now you see I cut past that point a little bit. That's okay, I can just come back to it. I'm going to cut around here, make a little few loops here, keeping a light finger pressure. You want to keep your fingers and wrists relaxed while you're doing this, because if you don't, it will affect the quality of your cut. Now, I want you to pay particular attention to what we're going to do next. We're coming into this sharp interior V corner. I'm going to cut all the way in there, then I'm going to back out. I'm going to turn the piece into the waist area. Turn that blade into the waist area and back that cut, or back into that cut. Now, we're coming up to the second point that I want to have you pay close attention to. We've got a nice sharp point here. So we're going to cut past the end of it. We're going to loop around and come at it from the other side. And that will give us a nice sharp point there. Now remember, we're keeping a light pressure with our fingers. We use a finger to pivot it as we go around a curve, a tight curve. And we just continue sawing. You know, sometimes you may make a slight mistake. The thing about it is not to beat yourself up over it, because people aren't going to notice it anyway once you get the final shape cut out. But, you know, you like to get as close to the line and as accurate as possible. All right, now we're coming up to another crucial area here that I want you to notice. we have a long curve here that goes back to the top of our piece. We'll spin this around. Now we're going to cut this. Now again, we want light finger pressure, and the thing about this is speed and consistency. You want to maintain the same speed and the same consistency all the way through this cut. You do not want to stop. If you stop, it sometimes throws you off a little bit and you leave flat spots on your curve, and you don't want to do that. You want a nice, smooth, continuous curve all the way around. And there you have it. Now we take our pieces out. I always keep a scrap bucket right by the saw. We just drop them in there like that. I didn't throw those on the floor. They went into the bucket. And we do the same with all of the other cuts until we've cut out all the cuts, all the inside cuts. Then we're going to cut out the outside cuts, again, going in a clockwise direction. Reason being, our blades tend to drift to the right, and we want to keep the waste area on the right side of the blade. And when we finished it all, it looks like that. It's all done and we're ready to paint it or put a hanger on it and hang it up in our kitchen or wherever we want to put it, just to give it a nice fall look. Well, that's all there is to finishing a scroll saw project. I'd like to thank you for tuning into this video, and you can check out more videos in this series by going to my website at terryscrollshop.com. You can also click on the My Links page on that website, the links I like, and you'll get information on blades, the scroll saw process, many other things as well. Check me out on Facebook too, and remember, when you do, spell shop the old-fashioned way, S-H-O-P-P-E. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time in Terry's Scroll Shop.